The US economy just got downgraded to AA+. Last week in the world of finance, US debt holders had their jaws drop as they scanned the headlines. It was like a plot twist in a financial thriller, and it revolved around none other than Fitch, one of the heavyweight champions among America's trio of credit rating agencies. Now you might be wondering, what's this fuss all about? Well, it turns out that Fitch did something pretty dramatic. They took that glittering AAA rating that the US government had proudly worn like a badge of honor, and they, for a lack of a better word, stripped it away. Imagine this as a high-stakes poker game. Fitch called out the US government for its expected fiscal troubles, accused it of letting its standards of managing debt slip, and pointed out that there is no clear plan to steer the financial ship back on course. In the world of credit ratings, this was like Fitch throwing down its cards and saying, "You're not playing this game right." Now you might be itching to know what all this fuss really means for America. Is this credit rating downgrade a big deal, or is it just a financial hiccup? Well, don't change that channel because we're going to dig deeper into that question. Have you ever wondered who are the wizards behind those mysterious credit ratings? Well, in the grand theater of finance, the United States has not one, not two, but three main players: Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and our star of the show, Fitch. These are the folks who wield their analytical wands to assess the credit risks of various financial instruments and entities, from individual companies to government bonds. In simpler terms, they're like financial detectives, scrutinizing investments with a magnifying glass and asking the all-important question: how likely is this borrower to skip out on their loan payments? If you've ever considered investing in United States government bonds or any financial instrument for that matter, these are the guys who provide you with the inside scoop on how safe or risky that investment might be. Now, these ratings come in various flavors: AAA, BB+, C, and everything in between. AAA is the golden child, the least likely to leave you high and dry. As you move down the ratings ladder, the risk factor cranks up, and anything below BB is seen as a speculative gamble. This is crucial information for big shot investors who want to keep their wallets safe and sound. They tend to stick with investments rated higher on the scale because, well, they like to sleep well at night. So why the hullabaloo about Fitch and their recent credit rating paper? Well, because they did something that caught everyone's attention. They took the United States government, which had been enjoying the AAA rating for a while, and said, "You know what, folks? We think you're not that bulletproof anymore." And just like that, they demoted it to AA+. It's like a superhero losing a couple of superpowers. Still mighty, but not quite invincible. But wait, before you panic, remember that this isn't some dramatic fall from grace. It's more like moving from being ultra-safe to merely very safe. So while it's not a financial Armageddon, it does raise some eyebrows and send folks scrambling to understand why. But why did Fitch decide to throw shade at the US government's creditworthiness? They didn't just drop the rating and run. They left a trail of breadcrumbs for us to follow. First on their list of grievances was the ominous expected fiscal deterioration over the next 3 years. It's like Fitch peeked into a crystal ball and saw some stormy physical weather on the horizon. Next up, they called out the US government for its growing mountain of debt, a debt burden that has been expanding like a balloon at a kid's birthday party. But that's not all. Fitch had more to say. They accused the United States of letting its governance standards slip over the past 2 decades. It's akin to telling a veteran athlete, "You used to be in peak form, but now, well, not so much." They didn't stop there either. They pointed fingers at repeated debt limit standoffs and those nail-biting last-minute solutions. It's as if Fitch was saying, "Your budget shenanigans are making us nervous." But the list doesn't end there either. Fitch also raised the red flag about the US government's lack of medium-term fiscal framework. While other countries have clear plans to get their financial houses in order, it seems the US government might be playing a game of "let's wing it." Adding to this already lengthy rap sheet were economic shocks, tax cuts, and new spending initiatives that contributed to the growing debt pile over the past decade. And if that wasn't enough, Fitch dropped the bomb that there's been minimal progress in tackling the medium-term challenges related to rising Social Security and Medicare costs due to an aging population. It's like pointing out that the ship is headed straight for an iceberg and the captain is still checking his email. In a nutshell, Fitch's verdict was that they've lost some confidence in the US government's ability to manage its finances. It's not that the US is sinking, it's more like they're in a ship with a slow leak, and instead of fixing it, they're grabbing buckets to bail water out. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of financial success? Then hit the thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our channel for a front row seat to a brighter financial future. And now, let's get back into the topic. Imagine that you're running a household, but every year you spend more money than you earn. It's a common problem that many families face, and it's called a deficit. Now imagine doing this year after year, and instead of improving, your deficit keeps getting bigger. That's precisely the issue the United States is grappling with. See, when a country spends more than it earns in a year, it racks up debt. And like any debt, it eventually needs to be paid back. The catch here is that the United States has been running a deficit since the early 2000s, and the trend is not in their favor. It's getting worse. Now, let's talk about the interest rates. When you have a debt, you often have to pay interest on that debt. With interest rates on the rise, taking on more and more debt becomes a more substantial commitment. It's like having a credit card with a high interest rate. Those monthly payments start to sting. The crux of the problem is that the United States is spending more money than it's earning, and it's not putting in place the medium-term plans it needs to reverse course. But don't just take my word for it. Here's Richard Francis, one of the big wigs at Fitch, to explain further. In 2007, general government debt was less than 60%, and now it's 113%. There's been a clear deterioration. Furthermore, we're expecting physical deficits to rise over the next 3 years. In simple terms, the US debt pile has grown significantly, and the annual deficit is expanding. This means they're spending more and more compared to what they're earning. What's worse, higher interest rates are making the interest burden on this debt increase faster. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and more challenging to stop. The big issue here is that while the United States has this problem, they're not working hard enough to fix it. It's like knowing your car has a flat tire but choosing to drive on it anyway. This is the primary reason why Fitch decided to downgrade the US credit rating. Jamie Dimon sees the Fitch downgrade as less a catastrophe and more like a minor hiccup. He believes that credit rating agencies don't hold all the cards. They're like judges at a talent show, giving their opinions, but it's the market that truly decides. He acknowledges the issues raised by Fitch, such as the debt ceiling debacle and the deficit itself. Jamie even agrees that the United States should get rid of the debt ceiling altogether. But in his view, these problems shouldn't overshadow the fact that the United States is still the most prosperous and secure nation on the planet. He makes an interesting comparison, pointing out that some countries with lower credit ratings than the United States rely on the American military system for their security. It's like saying, we're the superhero, and they're living in our superhero world. Jamie Dimon's perspective suggests that while there are challenges, the United States isn't on the brink of financial collapse. Rather, it's a country with some issues that need addressing like any other. So, after all the financial drama and credit rating downgrades, is this the end of the world for the United States? Well, here's the scoop. Fitch's downgrade isn't a financial Armageddon. It's more like a rating adjustment by one agency. Think of it as one restaurant critic giving a restaurant slightly lower ratings while others still sing its praises. If you enjoyed today's video, like, share and subscribe to Finance Today for a front row seat to unraveling economic insights. And while you're at it, don't forget to press the bell notification icon to never miss an upload from us. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, I bid you farewell.